Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to our lesson today. Today, we're talking about phrasal verbs that use the words over and under. Over and under. And I think that you're really going to like what we talk about today because some of these phrasal verbs you might know, but some of them you probably don't know. So you're going to learn some new words, some new phrases today. So I think you're really going to like this. And let's go ahead and get started. So I see we have some of my favorite people here with us today: Gigi, Mechi, Lena, Lily, Hend. Thank you so much for joining me. And of course, we have people watching on YouTube also. So let's get started. So one of the phrasal verbs that we can talk about first is to go over something. Now, when we talk about phrasal verbs, we need to remember that phrasal verbs usually have more than one meaning. They have a direct meaning and they have a metaphoric meaning or a more abstract meaning. So to go over could be directly, for example, to go over a bump in the road, right? We're driving, right? In English, go can be about driving, walking, flying. It can be any kind of movement. And so go over could be if you're driving in your car and there's a bump and you go over the bump, right? That's the direct meaning, to go over something. To go over can also be to go above something. And we use the word over in phrasal verbs a lot to talk about when we go above something, over something. And so maybe you're driving in your car and the speed limit is 30 kilometers an hour, 30 kilometers per hour. And if you drive faster than 30 kilometers per hour, then we can say that you go over the speed limit. So to drive over the speed limit or to go over the speed limit, or you can say to go under the speed limit. And so this is another way that we can use the verb to go over. Another way that we can use the phrasal verb to go over is in a metaphoric way or an abstract way. And this is to review something, to review, to look at something again, to go over it. So, for example, today I can say that we are going over phrasal verbs. We're reviewing it, practicing it, looking at it again. So are you ready to go over phrasal verbs today? I hope so. Okay, I see Nirvana is here with her great background, English everyday background. Thanks, Nirvana. And Amal is here from her car driving. Hi, don't go over the speed limit. Great. All right. So let's see. Let's talk to Nirvana first. So Nirvana, in the city or in the town where you live, what is the speed limit? What is the speed that you cannot go over? Hi, welcome.
Hello. I don't remember exactly, but maybe 60 hours.
60 kilometers per hour? Okay.
Or it's 5. I don't know exactly.
Okay. Usually the speed limit is different inside the city and outside the city, right? There are some high speed roads. In American English, we call them a highway. And you can drive faster there. So it might be different inside of the city and on the highway. But if I remember correctly, Nirvana, you don't drive, right?
Yes.
Do you drive?
Yeah, I don't drive.
You don't drive. Okay.
No, I don't
So,
drive.
so you might not know exactly what the speed limit is. You maybe if you get in a taxi or a car, then your friends or the driver maybe goes over the speed limit sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about in your country, but here in the United States, usually you can go about 10 miles over the speed limit and the police will not stop you.
Okay.
So you can go a little faster. All right, great. Thanks, Nirvana. Amal, if you can talk to us while you're driving.
Yes, hi.
Hi. So in your city, what is the speed limit?
Usually inside the city, it is 60 kilometer per
60 kilometers per hour? Oh, sorry, it looks like your audio turned off. Yeah, now I hear you.
me. Okay.
Yes.
If you over speed limit, police will stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60 kilometer inside the city. In the fast road, maybe it is 80, and sometimes 100.
80 or 100. Okay.
It depends on the road.
It depends on the road. Yeah. But if you go over, if you go 120 kilometers per hour, they'll stop you.
Yes, and you will pay a lot.
You'll pay a lot. You'll get a speeding ticket.
Yes, sure.
Has this ever happened to you?
No, till now, no.
You're a good driver.
Yeah.
You always follow the speed limit.
Yes, yes, it is good and safe. So I didn't break the law.
That's good.
I'm trying.
You're a very responsible driver.
Yes.
Great, great. Thank you so much. So yeah, so this is one phrasal verb that we can use is to go over. And like I said, we can use this to talk about the speed limit, which means that we go above or faster than the speed limit, to go over the speed limit. And we can also go under the speed limit, which means we go slower than the speed limit. And in some places, there is a minimum speed limit. Like if you're driving on the highway or the high speed road, then there might be a minimum speed limit and a maximum speed limit. So usually people talk about the maximum speed limit, the fastest that you can go, the highest speed that you can go. But I don't know about in your country, but here on the highway, there's also a minimum speed limit, which is, I think, 20 miles under the speed limit. And so if you drive very, very slowly on the highway, the police can stop you and say, what are you doing? There might be an accident because you're going so slow. And so there's a minimum and a maximum. Of course, here where I live in the United States, we use miles, not kilometers. And so it can be difficult sometimes to think in miles and in kilometers and to try to change them. I think kilometers are easier to use. I think the metric system is easier and makes sense. But in the United States, we use the imperial system, which uses miles instead of kilometers. So when I talk about the speed limit here, I talk about miles and I don't think about kilometers. But when I'm in another country, I see kilometers and I know that I know to follow the kilometers speed limit. So here where I live in Florida, the speed limit in the city is usually about 30 miles per hour, 30, maybe 35, maybe 40. But on the highway, it's 70 miles per hour. In some other states, it's 60 or 65. And so because the speed limit is 70 miles per hour here, usually on the highway, people drive 80 miles per hour because they know that usually the police don't stop you if you just go 10 miles over the speed limit. But also, there are some special areas. For example, a school zone, an area near a school. And in these places, the speed limit is much lower, maybe 20 or 25 miles per hour. And if you drive fast in this area and the police see you, then you can get a big ticket, a big speeding ticket. And the speeding tickets here are really, really expensive. Probably you will pay at least $150 or maybe $200. If you drive 20 miles over the speed limit, you might pay $300 or more. If you drive really, really fast, then they can just arrest you because you're breaking the law so much. So right now, I have a question for everyone who's here with me on Zoom, here in this lesson with me. First of all, what is the speed limit in your country or in your city? And can you go above the speed limit? Will the police usually stop you if you go over the speed limit, or do you have to go exactly the speed limit? So that's the question. I'm going to write it here in the chat. What's the speed limit in your city? And can you go over the speed limit without the police stopping you? That's the question, okay? So in the chat, you can see this question, and let's go to our breakout rooms and discuss this in small groups. So on your screen right now, you should see a button. Just click the button to join the room. And again, the question is, what's the speed limit in your city? And can you go over the speed limit? Let's talk about that now. All right. And for everybody who is watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. If you would like to join our English Everyday program and join the students who you see on the screen right now and the students I'm speaking with, then I'm going to send a link right now in the chat. Just click on the link. You can join our program and you can practice speaking with us too. All right, great. So now you should see that link in the chat. And let me show you actually what we do in this program, because when you watch on YouTube, you probably just see me and maybe one or two other students, but really we have a whole group of students here. Some students turn on their camera and some students don't. That's okay, you don't have to. But let me show you everything that we do in this program. So on the screen right now, you can see our community. This is our I Speak English community, and this is where students of our two programs, English Everyday and Level Up, can join live lessons every day. So here you see join live lessons, and right now we are having this lesson. And you just click this button, click here to join the lesson, and Zoom will open up and you can practice speaking with us. And then you can add this calendar to your phone or your computer, and you can see all of the times of all of the lessons in your time zone. So you don't always have to think, oh, what time is it where Chris is? You can see what time it is where you live. And then we have bonuses that open up every 5 days. We also have a study plan. We also have challenges, and these are different activities that students can complete. And then we have our meetups. And in our meetups section, this is really, really cool. You can just open a live room anytime that you want, and other people in our community can join you and practice speaking. So you can do this 24/7. You can do it anytime that you want. Then we also have circles, and a circle is like a Facebook group. You can post in here and you can talk about other topics, or you can talk about what happened in the lesson. And for example, sometimes people post what happened in their meetup, or someone posts, for example, a challenge, or someone will post that they liked what happened in one of the lessons, like right here, speaking lesson was happening. So this is a really cool area too. And then we also have this chat area, and this is like a WhatsApp group, and you can chat with all of the other students 24/7. Anytime that you want, you can come in here and you can chat with other people. And sometimes people will actually come in here and say, hey, I'm going to start a meetup. Do you want to join me? And then they join, and they practice speaking, and they can communicate right here. But this is not the only way that you can communicate with other students in our program. You can actually find the other students here, and you can go and find their name, or you can just search for their name, and you can send them a message. And this is really cool. As soon as you join, you should come in and send Tanya a message. She's the head of our student success team. And you can just send her a message, hey, I just joined, and she'll help you get started. So this is a really, really powerful platform, really cool place to practice English as much as you want. And we also have another program called Level Up. And so I want to tell you a little bit about that right now too. If you are a professional person, if you maybe have your own business, or if you work in a big corporation or an international organization, then maybe you want to use English to build your career, to get to the next position, to grow your salary, to increase how much money you make from your job. So if that's what you want, if you're using English to get ahead in your career, then this is really a great program for you. It's called Level Up, and you can go to our website and you can learn more about what's included in this program. It's a great program. We've recently had a lot of people join who are working in big international organizations. And what we really focus on there is not only growing your English, but how you can use English to achieve big goals, especially in your career, like getting a promotion, moving up to a higher position, and getting a bigger salary. And, you know, a lot of people who I meet, they say that they want to learn English for one reason or another, but at the end of the day, how do you use English? A lot of my students have been studying English in other programs and courses and with other teachers for years and years, and maybe they've spent a lot of money buying courses and programs and lessons. And all of that time and all of that money, people want to see that they get something back from their investment. And I think you're the same. If you're watching me right now, you don't want to just watch videos like a zombie, right? You want to join and practice and actually get big results. So the Level Up program is something that I spent a long time creating. I have a special method, a special system that we use there, and it will really take you to the next level. And we do that in 90 days. So in a 3-month program that I've created, we can help you go to the next level. So if that's something that you want, then you should contact us, go to the website, there's information there, or just send us an email, and we'll tell you more about how you can join. And actually, yesterday and the day before, I spent all day creating a new training for everyone called Shockingly Great English to Impress Your Boss in 8 Simple Steps. So in a few days, I will open this new training to everyone, and I'll tell you how you can join that. But you'll be able to find it on our website, and it will really explain what you can get out of this level up program and how to use this system. Okay. Great. And I see some people asking about joining it. So yeah, if you're interested in joining that program, just send us an email and we can tell you more about it, because since right now I'm teaching this lesson, but yeah, I think that you would really, really love joining this program. And especially if you have a job, you're working in a big organization, this is for you. All right, I see our students are in the rooms practicing speaking right now and talking about this topic about the speed limit. So I'm going to bring them all back and we will continue to talk about phrasal verbs, because there's really a lot of phrasal verbs to talk about today. Great. All right, I see they're coming back. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the next phrasal verb. And okay, I see everyone's coming back now. Great, great, great. All right, let's talk to Ifrah. Hi, Ifrah, how are you?
Fine. Hi, teacher. How are you?
Great, great. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, what is the speed limit in your country?
Really, in my country, is having a different speed limit. In a city, if you like a highway, it's always 100 speed limit. But if you want to, sometimes it's having to in a town or also in a near the houses, always is limited. It's a different. The houses near the houses, it's always limit is 30 or sometimes it's 40. It's a normal limit, but downtown it's sometimes it's 40 because of in my country downtown or towns it's always booming or always it's too much crowded. That's always causing to it's causing to a limitation. Speed limitation is always controlling in a government.
Mm-hmm. Right. So there's a lot of traffic downtown.
Yeah, it's a traffic jam, and sometimes it's the people always people living in my country. They will go into town and they will making a shopping, and sometimes it's they have it your children, or that's causing to damaging in the cars, and that's government. They don't like to. They controlling the speed limitation in the cars.
Okay. And can you go over the speed limit?
No, really, I don't think so. It's offer speed limit in a area of people, but sometimes it's happening to teenage teenage boys. They will go into outside of a city, and that's making to offer speed. And sometimes they play in a car different speeds. But government, they don't they take care in, and also they fight in the people that's making this, but sometimes it's having to offer a speed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, teacher.
All right. And let's go to Aza Nafti. Hi, Aza.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Great. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
And so you wrote that there's a system in Paris.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
So the driving lessons is equal to 12 points.
Points.
And yeah, with points. Yeah, a system with points. So it's equal to 12 points. And for each overrun, there is a deduction of 3 points.
So if you break the speed limit, they take away 3 points from your license?
Yes,
Wow. Okay.
automatically.
That's good. That's probably good, right?
Yes, not good for us.
And how long do those points go away? Forever, or they come back after 3 years or something?
For example, if we lost the 12 points, we have to repeat all the procedure process to apply for driving license, and
Wow.
yeah,
So you have to get your license again.
yeah, your license again, yeah.
Wow. I think that's a better system because here in the United States, the reason people don't want to get speeding tickets, of course, first you have to pay for the speeding ticket, but secondly, your car insurance it becomes more expensive. So
Yeah.
you don't just pay money one time for the speeding
In
ticket.
addition, here, in addition of paying, it's it's okay to pay, and in addition of that, there is deduction of points.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for asking.
All right. Great. So so let's go to the next phrasal verb, right? And let's continue the theme of talking about driving and cars. Another phrasal verb that we might use is to run over something, or to run over someone. That's really bad. But again, we need to remember that phrasal verbs can have more than one meaning. They have a direct meaning and they have an abstract meaning. So the direct meaning, run over, usually, for example, if you are on the other side of the street and I'm standing on this side of the street, I can say, hey, run over here, right? It's like run across the street to me, like come here, come over here, run over here. I can say, I'm going to run over to my friend's house. It means just I will go to my friend's house, right? So this is one meaning. But when we talk about cars and driving, to run over has a special meaning. It means that you drive over something, on top of something. So, for example, sometimes there's a bird in the street, a bird or a squirrel or some small animal. And if you run over the bird, it means that your wheels on the car go over the bird. It means that you hit this bird, that you went over, right? You drove and your car was on top of this thing. So probably that bird will stay there afterwards, right? So this is not good. And if you run over a person, this is really bad. So so this is what it means to run over. And so sometimes we use the verb to run about cars. We can say to run over something, and this means that you go on top of it. But we can also run into something. And this is when you're driving your car and you hit something with your car, right? In English, we can use the verb to hit, or we can say to run into. So if you have a car accident, you might need to tell the police officer what happened. And you say, I was driving and that car ran into me. That car ran into me. That car hit me. You can say the car hit me or the car ran into me. Or maybe you're driving and you ran into a telephone pole, right? A big metal pole that has wires for telephones, or a light pole, right? You ran into it or you hit it. So we can use these verbs to talk about this situation. Great. Another verb that we might talk about is to get over. And this is like when you're driving a car, there might be 3 lanes of traffic, 3 traffic lanes. This means that 3 cars can go at the same time, right? If there's 3 traffic lanes. And if you want to go to the next lane, you can put on your turn signal, right? You press this thing, it makes this sound, and now your light will flash to show somebody that you are going to turn. So you can turn into a lane, into a traffic lane, or you can get over to the next lane. So when I'm driving my car and my wife or my mom or someone is sitting in the passenger seat, maybe I'm talking and I don't remember that I need to get off of this road, that I need to exit. And they will tell me, Chris, you need to get over. Get over right now. You need to get off this exit. So get off when you're driving will mean to exit the road, right? To leave this road. And so you might say, oh, we need to get off here. We need to get off here. This means we need to leave the road here. We need to exit here. So they might tell me, Chris, get over. We need to get off. And we use these phrasal verbs a lot about driving. Okay, I just have to remind you one more time that phrasal verbs have a lot of different meanings. So it's really important to talk about the situation or the context when we use the verbs. So I'm talking about driving, and I told you about run into, right? You can run into a wall, run into a light post, run into another car. This is a car accident that I'm talking about. But run into has another meaning, and it's not about running. Run into also means when you meet a person by accident. You did not plan to meet this person. So for example, you go to the shopping center, you're in a shop, and you're just walking, oh, nice shirt. And then you see your friend, and you did not have a plan to meet your friend there. You just see your friend and you say, oh, hey, John. And oh, hey, Chris, what are you doing? Oh, I'm shopping. I'm going to buy a new shirt. And then I go home and my wife says, oh, how was your trip to the shopping center? How was it at the mall? I say, oh, it was good. I got a new shirt and I ran into John. I ran into John at the mall. I ran into John at the shopping center. This doesn't mean that I was running and I hit him like in a car, right? It can mean that. It can mean that. So sometimes it's confusing if you don't know the situation, right? Like if I just tell you I ran into John, then maybe I met him by accident without a plan, or maybe John was driving his car and I hit his car with my car. I ran into John, right? It can mean both of these things. Great. Okay. So today we're talking about phrasal verbs with over and under. And when you're learning phrasal verbs, it's really a better strategy. There's 2 strategies, right? Some people try to learn every verb and then every word that goes with the verb. Like we can say to get on, to get in, to get into, to get around, to get over, to get, right? There's a lot of combinations. But a better strategy is to learn all of the small words, because when you know what those words mean, you can connect them to many, many, many verbs, right? So that's why today we're focusing on over and under. And when we're using phrasal verbs over, this can mean more than we should, more than what is right, more than what is good. And under means less than what we should, or less than what is right. And it's not only about phrasal verbs. In many cases, these words have these meanings. For example, we have the verb to oversleep. This is not a phrasal verb technically, but it works the same way. To oversleep. This means to sleep too much, to sleep more than you should. For example, you need to go to work at 8 o'clock and you sleep until 9 o'clock. And your boss says, "What happened?" You say, "I overslept. I overslept." This is a really important example because there's a verb to oversleep, and this means that you sleep too much and you miss something, or you're late. And then there's a different verb to sleep over. These are two different things: sleep over and oversleep. If you oversleep, maybe you're late. You sleep too much. But if you sleep over, this means to sleep at somebody's house, to sleep at somebody else's house. So maybe there was a big party and John came to my house, and maybe he drank a little bit, a few too many beers or something. And I say, "John, don't drive, go to sleep." And in the morning, my wife says, "Who's sleeping in that room?" I say, "Oh, John slept over. John slept over at our house." It means that you sleep at a different person's house, to sleep over. And there's a verb, there's a noun, a thing, a sleepover. Maybe in films you've seen this. When teenagers or young children go and sleep at their friend's house, it's like it's some kind of party for children, and they have a sleepover. So they might say, "Oh, Susie is having a sleepover tomorrow." This means that she's having a small children's party and her friends will sleep at her house. A sleepover. So these two things are different. To oversleep means that you're late because you sleep too much, and sleep over means you sleep at a different person's house. Okay, let's look at another phrasal verb with over. To take over. To take over. Usually this is about taking control of something. This can be about a business, or this can be about a government. So we might say, a new leader took over the government. This means that now this new leader is in control, has power of this government, right? Maybe like in Moldova right now. And we can also say this about a business. We can say Elon Musk took over Twitter. He bought this company and now he has control of this company, right? Elon Musk took over Twitter. But it's not only about these situations. For example, maybe I invite another teacher to our lesson and I say, "Okay, I'm finished talking, I'm finished teaching. John, now you take over." Means now John will lead. Now John will have control, right? I can say, "Okay, now John will take over the lesson." So, so we can use that. Okay, another example. Let's talk about some phrasal verbs with under. With under. So one good example is to work under someone. To work under someone. this means that you work, this means that that person is your boss. They are in a higher position than you. Right? So you might say, I have worked under Robert for 5 years. This means that he has been my boss for 5 years. To work under someone. What else? You could also talk about, you could say the phrasal verb to live under something. Now, of course, let's remember phrasal verbs have more than one meaning. There's a direct meaning, there's an abstract meaning, and direct meaning, if I live on the 3rd floor of the building and my friend lives on the 4th floor, I live under him, right? So this is the direct meaning. But if we talk about the abstract meaning, we can talk about a system or something that's happening in society or in the world, and we live in this situation. So in history books, they might say people in Kazakhstan lived under Soviet control for 80 years, something like this. We lived under communism for 50 years, someone might say. This means that there was a communist government, and it's not only about communism, it's usually about something that you think is bad. So I can say, we lived under Trump for 4 years. So it means that we had to live with this situation. We had to live under these conditions. Great. Okay, another one. Trying to think of a better example. Okay, let's go back to over. There's another good one with over. To hand over. To hand over. So maybe you know the verb. I think you know the noun, the thing, a hand, right? Like, this is a hand. I have 2 hands. And maybe you know the phrase to give someone a hand. This means to help someone, right? It doesn't mean that you, here. No, that's not what it means. But it means to help someone, to give someone a hand. You might say to your friend, hey, can you give me a hand with this? Can you help me with this? But there's also a verb, to hand something. I might ask you, can you hand me that pen? Can you hand me that pen? It means, can you give me that pen? So to hand something, it means to give something, right? And then we also have a phrasal verb, to hand something over. And we usually use this when one person has control of something, and then they give control to the other person. So I can tell you, hand me that pen. It means give me that pen. And I can also say, hand over that pen. And it means like, it's your pen, you have it, but you need to give it to me, and now it will be mine. To hand something over. Great. I think you also know another verb with over. Voice over. Voiceover. This is when somebody speaks and maybe on my YouTube channel, you've seen this. There's a video and you don't see my face. You just see something happening on the screen and you hear my voice. My voice is on top of the video. I'm doing a voiceover. That's what it's called. And so actors, there are some special actors who do this. They're called voice actors. And so when they record their voice, this is called a voiceover. Now, that's probably a good example to go to the next one, because over in many cases means on top of something, right? And so I think you know what it means to talk about something. Like right now, I'm talking and talking, blah, blah, blah. You're probably thinking, Chris, shut up. And to talk over someone, this is not good. This is when one person is talking and you try to talk louder than them. Right? To talk over someone. It's a little different from interrupting someone. If we interrupt, this means that one person is talking and in the middle of them talking, another person starts talking and like cuts them off. This is another phrasal verb, to cut someone off, to interrupt them. But if you talk over them, it just means that you're trying to talk at the same time and you're trying to talk louder than them. Yeah. Great. Okay. So let me open the lesson up to you. Maybe you have some questions. Your questions don't have to be about phrasal verbs, but they can be. But if you have any questions right now, I want to answer your questions. All right. And I see a question I see a question here on YouTube. Nargis asks, can we use take over about pupils? So for example, John is taking over the task. We can use it like that if that person is now in control, is that if that person is leading, you know? So if the students are presenting something to the teacher or they're presenting something to other students, then yes, we could say this. Like, okay, Susie, now you start presenting, you take over. Yeah, we could say that. Lena, yeah, right now I'm just opening our lesson to questions. If you have questions, you can ask. You can write your questions in the chat, or you can click on the raise hand button on Zoom, and you can ask me your question, and I'll try to answer. Lena has a good question using the word over. She says, is time over? Like our lesson, is the lesson over? That's a good example, because we can ask if something is over. To be over, this means to be finished, right? No, our lesson isn't finished. I'm just answering questions if we have questions. If there's no questions, then it's over. Sometimes in films or TV shows, you'll see people say this, it's over. They might say this about a relationship, like maybe a boyfriend and a girlfriend are arguing about something, and then one of them says, it's over. They mean like our relationship is over. We are breaking up. We are not boyfriend and girlfriend now. Samia, yeah, good example. Game over. Right. This is the end of the game. Game over. Yeah, if you're playing a video game or a computer game, then at the end it might say game over. It means the game is finished. Good example. All right. So yeah, if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them today. just click the raise hand button or write your questions in the chat, and I'm happy to answer. If not, it's over. I'll just wait I'll just wait for another minute and give you time to think of your questions. All right, great. Mohammed Zaki. Hi.
Hi, thank you very much. How are you doing,
Great. How are you?
sir? I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Sorry, I missed so many sessions in the last couple of days. So today, it's my pleasure to have you today. Really, it's
thank you.
wonderful session on very interesting topic. So the things that I wanted to ask you is we need more terminologies related to the traffic code, maybe to the road and the traffic aspect, and also the what to say, the car, maybe the road right, let's say the rules of the road, something like that. So we need more vocabulary related on this topic, more
Okay.
than just the under over. It is great, and really we memorize already that, but we need more and more.
Great. That sounds like a good idea for me to make a new lesson about that. Yeah. Thank you for your suggestion. I think that's a good idea. Awesome. Any other questions right now? I see here on YouTube, Mariana, when we use over, it always means that the action is finished. No, not always. Some, like we talked about today, we had some examples where it means that we are on top of something, right? Like when we said to run something over, like in the car, if we say the car ran over a bird, it means that the car went on top of the bird. It's bad, but that's what it means. So sometimes it means this. Sometimes it means more than what we should do or what is right. Like if we go over the speed limit, right? If we go over the speed limit, or if we have a lesson and I go over the lesson time, this means that we go longer than we are supposed to, than we should. So it doesn't always just mean finished. There are some situations when it means finished, like, okay, the lesson is over. That means it's finished, or game over. Yeah, good question. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to this lesson today. I will see everybody next time. Remember, if you're not part of our English Everyday program, you can click the link in the chat and you can join us. And we also have our Level Up program for people who are in careers and want to use English in a professional way. And we have a system for using English and applying it to your life and your career. I know that a lot of people study English for a long time. Maybe they study English all their life. They've been studying for years and years. It's a lot of time, maybe buying courses and lessons. It's a lot of money. And so in this Level Up program, we show you how to use all of this English and apply it, especially if you are in a career in an international organization, so that you can move to a higher position, you can earn a higher salary, or maybe you can get a better job or in a different position in another company or another organization. So if that's something you're interested in, just go to our website or click the link under the video and contact us, and we'll tell you how you can get started. In a few days, we'll have a new training that focuses on that topic so that you understand a little bit more about what that means. But for today, lesson's over, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.